1 year. 100 books. That is all it took to change everything. Not his school. Not his family. Not his circumstances. What changed first was something invisible. The way he thought. The questions he asked. The things he noticed that he had never noticed before. 12 months before this moment, Faris was the boy who said he hated reading. And he was right. He hated the reading he had been given. He had never once been given the reading that was meant for him. You do not hate reading. You hate being given the wrong books. The right book has not found you yet. Faris was not failing at school. He was doing just enough to get by. Comfortable in a way that comfortable can slowly become dangerous. When it stops you from ever needing to grow. The book that started everything was not assigned. Nobody told him to read it. It was just there. Left behind by his uncle. And Faris picked it up one Sunday afternoon. Because he had run out of things to scroll through. He read it in 2 days. Both days felt different from the days before them. Like someone had opened a window in a room. He had not realized was stuffy. The moment you find your first real book is the moment you understand that reading was never the problem. Access was. He set the target on a Tuesday. 100 books in 1 year. Not because someone dared him. Not because it was a school project. Because he had felt what one book could do to the inside of a week. And he wanted to know what 100 could do to the inside of a life. 100 books? Faris, that is almost 2 a week. Nobody does that. Somebody does. I am going to. Somebody does. He had read about people who did. And if somebody did, there was no law that said he could not be somebody. Every extraordinary thing was first done by an ordinary person, who decided that somebody might as well be them. He read on the bus to school. He read at lunch instead of scrolling. He read before bed instead of watching. He found 30 minutes here and 40 minutes there. And he discovered what everyone who reads seriously eventually discovers. That time is not as scarce as you think, when you stop spending it on things that give nothing back. He read biographies of people who built things from nothing. He read books about how the mind works. He read history, real history, not the kind from textbooks. He read novels that showed him lives completely different from his own, and made him feel less alone in his own. You are always reading now. What happened to you? I found out that the world is much bigger than I thought it was. And I want to see more of it. Reading does not give you information. It gives you a bigger world to live in. And a bigger world means bigger choices. By book 30 he had learned something about failure that his school had never taught him. That every person he admired had failed more times than they had succeeded. And the only difference was that they kept going anyway. By book 50 he had learned something about people. That almost everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. And that curiosity is almost always more useful than judgment. By book 70 he had learned something about himself. That the things he was interested in were not random. They formed a pattern. And that pattern was pointing somewhere. Reading is not passive. It is a conversation with every important mind that ever put their thinking into words. And you can join that conversation anytime you choose. He finished book 100 on a Saturday morning in December. 365 days. 100 books. And a completely different person sitting in the chair at the end of it. Faris. You read all of these? Every one. Then you are already more educated than most adults I know. Not because of what you read. Because of the fact that you chose to. The books had given him knowledge. But the choice, the daily choice to read instead of scroll, to learn instead of drift, to grow instead of stay comfortable, that choice had given him something more important than knowledge. It had given him a version of himself he actually respected. The goal was never 100 books. The goal was the person you become on the way to 100 books. Reading is not studying. Reading is not homework. Those are versions of reading designed to make you feel that reading is a duty. It is not a duty. It is a superpower. Every book is someone spending years of their life thinking hard about something, and then handing you the result of all that thinking in a few hours. You get to download someone's lifetime of experience in an afternoon. There is no app that does that. There is no shortcut that does that. There is only the book and the decision to open it. If you feel like you are stuck right now, Like the world is smaller than it should be. The library is free. And somewhere in all of that is the book that will open the window you have been standing in front of without knowing it was there. Start with one. Just one. The one that sounds interesting to you. Not to anyone else. To you. Start there. And see what happens to your world when you do. One book will not change your life. But the decision to keep reading will change everything. What is the last book that genuinely changed how you think about something? Drop the title in the comments right now. Because someone reading this comment today might find their first real book in your answer. And if you have never found a book that felt like yours, tell me what you are interested in. What makes you curious? Drop it below and let the community help you find your first real book. Subscribe to Rise Tales for a new story every week. Because every story on this channel started as someone reading the room they were in and deciding to write a different one. This is Rise Tales. Real lessons. Animated lives. And your story? It starts right now.